It's very difficult to be a pioneer scientist, and I know that from personal experience. And up at the Stanley Hotel, I was hearing an interview of Professor John Searl by Christine Ferguson for a documentary they're producing. And at the end of the interview, Professor Searl was in tears, the production crew was in tears, and I was in tears listening to what happened to him and his imprisonment and the destruction of his research. And anyway, he's got a fascinating story, and I'd like to give you a little background on Professor Searl. Professor John Searl is the only man in history to have built and flown an anti-gravity device called a Liberty disc. The power source for this amazing disc can also be used to generate electricity with no apparent input from outside. Because of this obvious economical repercussions to the big money oil industries, this marvelous invention was squelched. Professor Searl has offered this wonderful boon to all mankind since 1946. The story of his hardships and persecution is a long one. Long after most men would have given in to the pressure of big business and corrupt government officials, he has come back one last time to offer this inspired work to the world. His electric generator and his Liberty disc are powered by a Searl effect generator, SEG. If we, the people of the world, choose to use this marvelous technology, we would eliminate pollution from the internal combustion engine and the various methods of home and industrial heating. Anything can be run electrically, can be driven by an SEG with virtually no pollution and no use of fuel as we know it. Professor Searl uses existing physics laws in a new application. He has written a series of books on his work and is offering them to the public. His technology is based on a coherent number system called the Law of the Squares. His books have the same name. Dr. Searl will talk about this morning the technology of Professor John Searl. So please welcome Professor John Searl.
For those of you who were with us last night, we're still recovering. I would like to thank the INE for having us here and the opportunity to share this information with the world. And we have had a great deal of contacts and met a great many very interesting, wonderful people here. And we're very grateful for that. We're all getting to know Professor Searl. I'm getting to know him more and more every day, even though I've corresponded and talked to him for over 4 years. And I'm learning things new every day in every time he talks. Every talk that he gives is different. There's no rehearsal. There is no set pattern. And you don't never know how it's going to come out. So I'm confident it will come out very well indeed. And I'm going to turn it over to Professor Searl now.
Anyone with rheumatism can see me after and I'll try to cure it for you instant. I thank you all for putting up with your suffering last night. That was the hard call. Today, I have to give you the soft call. We are going to go into the technical side. So that won't be quite so funny. So we'll start with the beginning, and we hope that this will interest you. We got a slight technical problem. This photo is the very first press photo. We had the press medium came because I advertised in the paper that I wanted members to develop a new type of craft. Here we were demonstrating a bull race. The bull race, to most technical people, is a subject that must be well greased. For my work, grease prevents the operation. We get rid of it. Never mind what the scientists say, that it will seize up. It don't seize up. In fact, you could do some very amazing experiments, which I did to the media, and we recorded the evidence on the tracking equipment. Now from that, the development grew, and we'll show you the next shot. Here in Germany is the argon tank in which we are measuring out the powders by which the elements there is, in which we use to press the rollers and plates of the SEG. Here we are. This shows you the means in which you get into the tank, because the air must not come in contact with helium. Here we are, the very first roller that was produced in Germany a couple of years ago. We are holding it because this was a great excitement. Hundreds of people have been trying to make this roller. They gave up because their thinking was wrong. That's all that was wrong. They got the roller out and it kept cracking. That is my safety net. No one is going to copy that roller unless they're working full heart with me. You can spend as much as you like, and I would think there must be about £10 million spent by so many people trying to make that one roller. This is the magnetizing equipment. Here we are just making test models, so we don't need a very big machine. Again, you see another view. If you notice, there is a number of coils involved. This again is slightly different to normal practice. Another view of the coils. Another view. So anyone wishing to make these rollers realize you've got to have a bit of patience, and I mean patience, and don't give up. Now, you may say, why can't you make it? Well, let's put it this way. If you make a house brick, you've got to buy the ovens and all the necessary equipment to make that one brick. That costs you a fortune. That's the same here. To make one roller, you may be looking at £12 million. So you've got to make millions of them, because after the first one, they cost very little to make. That first one is the bug. Here is the magnetic field around the first segments produced in Germany. By the way, these pictures are in the books, so those who want to study them more closely can do so. Now, here is the illustration of the SEG build-up. Can we show the plates with the pointer, please? You notice that is what we call the plate in which the rollers run on. That's what we call the roller, and these have to be slightly shorter than the plate, so they have free movement. We show here the coil which we build on the outside of the last ring, which supplies the final work. The only difference between this machine and the conventional machine is that this is the prime mover. The coils is standard practice. Notice we've shown 4 colours. That represents the different layers of elements which are compressed to form the plate. The same must apply to the rollers. The weight of, or the volume of the plate is actually 2 waveforms going one direction, and then we actually got 2 others going in the opposite direction. We'll look at next. Now, this is an enlargement of one of the plates. And this actually is a true plate. We give the measurements, we show you the ingredients we use. As you see, we use a grey earth at our outer edge. Then you see we use a nylon. And I like to say why I fancy nylon. We can use plastic, but in Germany we see, when I look at the finished thing, that the nylon, the plastic looks terrible crude. It looks hard, it looks brittle, and we believe that nylon gives a better finish. It's an insulator. It has a double gate. But there are three classes of nylon 6/6. That's what we call a positive charge. This is where the manufacturer takes away electron from each molecule. You could have a neutral, which is the standard one. Then you could have a negative charge. This is where they add an extra electron to each molecule. And it's the negative one I use. Next to that, we take an ingredient. It can be iron or any other of the magnetizing materials. And then on the outer coat, we put one which will not magnetize. But it must produce an eddy current when a magnetic field comes in touch with it. That is the basic of it. How and why it works later. This is how the SEG looks. We only use 3 plates. You can use 4 or 5, but then you've got to consider if you're rich. If you're rich, of course, you can put more plates on. But this is a prime mover. It can be used as a home domestic power plant, which we are now developing. It can be used as a car engine. It can either be put straight in the wheels, or it can be put in where your engine is and 4 electric motors, 1 on each wheel. You've got the energy, you can run at mains, you can run higher if you wish. We can also use it for powering trains, we can use it for aircraft, and it is used on a very large scale to power our levity discs, as they were called. Here is basically what they look like. If you can consider a bull race, that's what we call them in England, that is exactly what you're looking at in this generator, except you do not need any housing or cage to hold them. This is 1 ring and the rollers, to give some idea of what we're talking about. This is a completed one. These pictures are in book 4. So those who want to study the details in closer. This is, of course, one of the press photographs of the beginning of the team. When you do research work of a massive size, no man can do it on its own. There's too many things involved. You need a dedicated team. And this is why I say to all people that want to develop something, you do have to share what you want to do with other people to gain their expertise. By helping one another, we will come forward with products which will amaze the unbelievers. We are going ahead with a domestic power plant, and that is a fact. We are proceeding at this time, and I can guarantee that within 6 months I'll be back up and running again. And if anyone doubt that, just put the money on the table. I'm willing to accept it. Here again are some photographs taken by individual members of the team. We had to clear a site to build the demo 1. We're giving you the idea as television first saw the site, and they thought we were joking. Here we are with the disc, As you notice, the whole effort is towards the tip or the rim of the craft. Can you point out the SEG? Here is the actual SEG on a very large scale. Again, we have the 3 plates. Again, we have 3 sets of runners. Down below, we show you how we actually create the function of angle. We are using gyro technology in the control of the angle. The SEG do more than just power the craft. It's the stabilizing effort. This is where the Americans have failed with their discs. They have used conventional aircraft thinking. That is what's ruined all their programs. I realized back in 1968 that if the problem of the disc was to keep it stable, we had the SEG capable of powering it. The question was, could we use the SEG to also control the angle of the flight? We could. And how we did it, we had a plunger. This plunger did a number of things. When you signal a change of course, we have 64 of these around the vehicle. The main feed goes out through to the rim, then we have a switching action to the top plate and to the bottom. The power switch top or bottom define the speed at which you're going to move up and down. When you operate any of these plungers, you immediately switch off the energy at the tip, you switch off the energy at the top or bottom, whichever side you are pumping, and then your plunger strikes and returns. Immediately it drops at that point. If you don't return power immediately, you will then continue to make a very large circle. You will continue in a curved direction. If the power comes back immediately, then you maintain that level of flight. As I said last night, I have now given the CAA notice that when we start flying, probably next year, we want clearance of 2,000 feet between all other aircraft. They must not direct us on any aircraft flight path if the aircraft is 2,000 feet in front of us, because it will knock out all their radio control, communications and things of this nature. We are now waiting for their reply that they recognize and accept our request. Here is the Demo 1 in construction. As you can see, it consists of 64 struts. And let me tell you something. Boy, there were some problems to solve. You may think it's a very simple thing to put together. But when you're trying to prove to 400 scientists who said that such a structure cannot be produced, it will not support itself, let alone fly. You open the door to all the media to watch you do it. And then you say you have to solve this problem because we're going to use the weakest material we can get. Because if the weakest material can do what you say, then the stuff you select to do the job is indestructible. The scientists watch and they laugh. The television kept coming and recording every step of the work. The media was at their heyday. But slowly the scientists disappeared. They realized they had made a terrible mistake. You see, they said that the structure is a split beam system and it's too weak for the job we want to do. They were wrong. And by the time the craft was built, there wasn't another scientist present. And they never again wrote or said anything to me about what can't be done or can be done. Again, here's another view taken by the press of the Demo 1, so you can see how it's constructed. Now, we can show towards the rim, down a little lower, now look up to show where the generator sits. Yeah. As you see, the generator, I'm sorry. I'll take the mic. Yeah. Sorry, I get carried away, and I don't realise people are not seeing. You can see, all right? Yeah. Right. Now, where we're pointing all round is the generator section. And I can assure you, it is a very complicated thing to put in. Until you come to do it, you realise that this is something very typical. It takes about 8 people to pull each section in. Again, another press photograph. Here's another view. Oh, by the way, I'd like to say, one of the television crew said, we'll get up in a tree so we can film down, because it's so beautiful. They got up, and when he got so excited, he forgot he was up the tree and fell. I have seen lots of funny things. I could write a book about things that happened while we were doing this one model. Again, we're hoping you could get the idea of the construction. Now, between are where the landing legs go in. Here's another view taken by the press. That wasn't the shot they took that they actually fell out. Now that was a shot. That's, by the way, the man kneeling is Dr. Kane from NASA. He came and spent 2 weeks with me. He went over all the calculations, he watched a model demonstration, and he wrote a report. He sent me the copy of that report. He told the media present that he had examined everything, he's gone over all the calculations, and in his opinion, they were absolutely correct. On the demonstration of the model, he told the media that model could reach the moon in less than 9 hours. Now you compare that to NASA's effort. The Japanese scientists also wrote the book, and they also calculated out the effort of that model. They also said it would take under just 9 hours to reach the moon, and to ask the readers to compare that against the NASA's effort. This Dr. Kane ended his letter to all officials of NASA with the following statement. He said, if we do not marry Searl's technology, when Searl comes out on the world market, he will lead the world, and there's nothing they can do because they have no knowledge how to do it. Again, another shot taken from a tree, this time by another person. Here are part of my team. We have at the middle is Tony Justice. His full-time job was a tool machinist, and he used to come out on all holidays and weekends to help with the work. He was a great lad. We have to the right of him is Gordon Goodfellow. He, by the way, was glad he is not meeting his Lord. When I met him first, he was in a terrible state. He said the hospital cannot do no more for him. He had a short time to live. He had severe bronchitis and asthma. So I said to him, I'll have a spare generator. I will bring it over and fit it up in your home. 2 days later, when I went to his home, he said, boy, I get all my family around this. He said, it's like drinking love of spring water. He said, I feel good. 4 weeks later, he said, can I come up and join your team? So we brought him up, and he said, oh, I can't do this. I said, watch. Let's watch how we do it. The following weekend, he was in the team, working just as hard as the rest. The question is, we can never do anything that's strange, but if we stand and watch other people who can do it, we all can do it. And that applies to every one of us. We have to see how we do these things. This is a view taken above of the cabin of the Demon One. In fact, I often got in it for the press to take pictures. You can, there's plenty of room to lie in it. It was 21 feet in diameter and it weighed 12 tons on completion. We have started wiring up under the cabin floor for all the control apparatus that would be used for the radio control side of the craft. We only just started to throw in the leads. They actually go through to the generator. I don't know if you can show where the cables are running through. And we just had to string them up because we had the media present, and they take all day filming. Right. Again, we have the colour shot taken by another freelance photographer. Again, showing you how the structure of the body is done. Again, another view, the shell has gone on. Now, we had a problem here. If television was going to show this craft, the last thing we want anybody to say, you've got batteries in it. Now, we actually had a scientist who said to Louis Giro, when he demonstrated again, look to see where the battery is. Now, do anyone know what battery is available that can lift a 12-ton lump of material? If you do, please tell me where I'll get it. And of course, I like to point out, in a video which we have released for 4R1, we are on daytime live, and the scientist is demonstrating. He winds up his little flywheel effort, and he released it. And he said that, I believe that John Searl whipped this up and got up a high speed, that it lifted up and then fell over in the ditch next door. So I asked Louis to write to him and tell him, we invite you to come and twist this up and let it go. We never had any reply. On the television program, at the end, if you get the video, the interview was very funny. He was rubbing that scientist quite hard. And then he said, you people never believe anything unless you see it. So he said, if John comes and he hovers a 3-foot thing in front of me, I would then believe it and have it part of the action. So we have informed him. We'd like to do this for him, but there's a bug. We have to have it outside. It'll have to be on a very long lead. You see, we have to get it off the ground a bit more than 3 foot. But we'll have a crane. He can get up on the top of the crane so he can be 3 foot from it. And he can sit there while we're doing the next program. And he can sit there until the battery runs out. But of course, I could talk to you for hours, for days, about the things that have happened. What the experts say, and when we show them, they pull their hair out and can't answer. Again, another shot taken of that's the Demo 1, the one that's well known all over the world. Again, another view, we have Tony Justice on top, and it looks like we have the girl that did all the wonders for the papers, who stood on top for their pleasure in the shortest of clothes. I always said to her, you could do what you like, You can get on naked if you want to, long as the cameras get the picture of the craft. She was a good girl. She did everything she could without breaking the law. Now, this was an interesting news article. Every so often in England, we have what we call the UFO sky search, where everybody goes running out to different areas to watch the sky. And the media point this out. What they're really saying here in the article, only a saucer ride away, we were testing our latest craft. That, by the way, is the wonderful girl that went to great lengths to keep the cameras flashing. Again, another press photograph. In fact, that one was recorded in many newspapers all over the world. That is perhaps the most used photograph in the world. I think no matter who sent me articles all over the world, books, that photo is in it. That, by the way, is the P11 on And I like to point out an 8-force wind gale was running. The reporter's asking me, how on earth does that keep still? And I am explaining to him that those white sections, can we put the flash on the lower part, they're the sections of the body that's been open. What we're doing, we're using the gale force 8 as one field, and we're using the lack of field on the craft as the opposite. And we've reversed this to the back side of the wind, so we're holding it dead still. And we held it for an hour to show them it won't move until we change the conditions of the craft.
What year was that?
That's about 1968. This again is about 69, where the BBC wanted us to do a demonstration. And this is what they did. They hired 2 helicopters. They had cameras made in Germany, especially to go out on a boom. They paid £80 an hour for each pilot. And they believed, and I did tell them they were wrong, but they said they were right, that they would capture that craft taking off, across the country, to the final marker that they were setting up for the test. And that would be time check. The cameras were in place, and they say, well, John, we're ready. You're sure? Yes. All right. So I gave the command for the engine to speed up, and she took off. I didn't put no support weight at the top. And boy, it went. And within 3 seconds, we got the call from the RAF radar to say that it is at the height for the test run. So I swung it round and sent it off to Cornwall. They missed it too. At Cornwall, we were notified that it had crossed the point. We returned it back to Mortimer. The time rested. All the money they spent was a sheer waste of time. We were lucky, 2 or 3 camera people did catch it from the ground. But as you can see, there is a large electric pylon in the background. The speed of this compressing the air distorted completely the background pylon. We're not sure whether it actually rained from that compression. It probably is, but we couldn't get near enough to check. We were all too busy. Now you may wonder, what was the record time? The record time was that between Mortimer and the edge, the end landmark of Cornwall, it took 3 minutes to get there. Well, I would say we're looking at about 100 odd miles And that was a model being withheld from the maximum speed. It wasn't touching anything. We were only just satisfying the media what it could do. And that was only a model.
Sonic boom?
Hmm?
Did it make a sonic boom?
No, no, because it's forced a tunnel. We'll be explaining this a little later. Here is somebody caught this picture. They shouldn't have got it, but here's the transmitting equipment. Away in the distance, we are bringing the craft towards us. Now, I think many of you would be very interested in what you see in a disc shape. If you're shown a photo of a disc, if it's completely circle, the person taking it is looking straight up. No other point will give you a circle picture. We know, we have thousands of photographs. If they say that they were standing so far away, then that picture is a fake. If you see an elliptical shape picture, and they say they were underneath it, that's a fake. For elliptical shape, you have to be some distance away, and you're taking it at an angle. If you see a diamond shape, then that particular shape is coming right sort of diagonally towards you. And it's the way the centered diamond look tells you which diagonal route it was taken to the person taking the picture. If you see it as a long strip, then it is shooting past you. It is going parallel to you. Simple little pictures tell me a lot because we have put crafts to the test to find out how they look in a photograph. Now, this particular picture is taken from another craft. We have taken up because a lot of the people at the show wanted to know what it looks like from above. So we've taken the craft up and taken a shot. We also have taken the craft down and taken a shot from underneath. Is that on the next shot? Now, underneath is completely black. Now, that's because of the way they have taken it. There are points where you take it, where you can see the mirror image of the ground condition, whether it's trees, or whether it's big lumps of ground, it will colour it. It acts like a mirror. When you see it with nothing mirroring on it, it means that the person was standing at such an angle that you can't see the mirror image being projected by the bottom of the craft. Here's another view taken by the second craft from the top, because we took 2 or 3 at different points, so that people can see it still remains that particular condition. And the best, we took them in the evening so you can see it. That's another shot taken from underneath. Again, the person taking it is obviously at a diagonal to it, so you cannot see the mirror image on it. This is Schiphol, the airport I did my international flying in, when I took passengers to add weight to the aircraft. And as you see, we are projecting the 21st century. Schiphol is actually developing as a new section to the airport. And I think you will realise that the 21st century is going to look quite different to what we know. John Thomas and his son has produced an image of the disc in space. These pictures are in the books, trying to give you the idea, the image of the craft, so you get used to the picture, so when you see one next time in the sky, you'll know who it is and who to blame. Here's John, illustration of what we think will be the pole shift in the year 2000, which of course we hope we got the disc to get out the way until it settled down. Anyone want to book a seat to get out the way? Give John your name, we'll book you a seat. I'm on the first on. Right. Now, that's the end of the slides. Right. Right. I try hard not to make technical things hard. I know. I have to attend lectures, and you can fall asleep very quick. I don't like you paying to come to sleep when I'm talking. You can go home and have it free. When you come here, I want to try to capture your mind into the interest of new technology. I want you to think and look and see. When we demonstrate, we want those who are interested, not the people who cannot be bothered to come to find out what's going on. We want you who do take interest in technology, we want you to keep in touch, because we want you to see what we're doing, and it's only a short time away when we'll be up and running. I have told this organization that 1 hour is useless. After all, I've been lecturing 3 weeks in Denmark. At 9 in the morning, supposed to stop at 10, at 3:30, we're still going it in the morning. And they have to pull me off to get me to the next place. 3 solid weeks, 7 days a week, and that still wasn't enough punishment for them. If, I don't know, we are asking Toby to give us 5 whole days, 9 in the morning till 10 at night. I know you'll still be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, but if he just booked that, 5 days, that means every one of you who are interested, we'll notify. You'll have a chance to come and spend time looking at the things. We want you to see them for yourself. We want you to go back with photographs you took. Not what I took, or somebody else took. You took. So you know that's true. We want you to feel the things. We want you to film and video it so that you're satisfied that what you saw is real and not faked. No man can say more than that. We're not hiding anything from you or from the government. In fact, we're telling them precisely what we're going to do. If they complain, it's hard luck. I can't wait any longer. And you can't wait no longer. Every one of you who trying to develop something need support now. Someone's got to push that support. And my golly, I'm going to. I'm not going to stop until this technology is here. You can come and turn cookers on and satisfy yourself that it's not free technology, but alternative technology. We must be careful about the words we use. If we keep saying free, we're going to be laughed at. If we say anti-gravity, we're going to be laughed at. What we must say, we think what is happening, that we are producing a gravity field around the vehicle, and because 2 lights repel, we can get away with that. But if you say it's anti-gravity, then we have 2 opposites. They will pull together. So we must be very careful how we word our statements. It's not what you think. We have to be careful. It's what other people think. I hope, well, I will see every one of you on the next do we have. And I don't know if John would like to say anything. Can you think of it? If not, you may ask what I can do.
Enjoyed your funny side in your workshop. I took a few notes on it. But I think there's a higher urgency in your generator. And if you could take a minute or two, the potential for all of us to be self-dependent on energy, the reduction of dependency on hydrocarbons worldwide, the opportunity to make nuclear power obsolete, and the vast health benefits of your ionization. By those products, I think there's quite a few of us, if you could talk a little bit about your ionizer. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have no hearing. I have to vibrate the bones a bit.
You want to comment on the medical aspects and on the home aspects and to give us the independence?
Right. This is fact, the gentleman has said what I was planning to say. This generator is a prime mover, and as such, it means it can be used in the burn case. Here is a sample of what it can do. The Sherwoods from New York came to visit me on the request of the universities to investigate whether the claims on the media was true or false. When he arrived, I arrived with my team at the hotel in London to greet him, and I was a mummy. I had 2 slits from my mouth. I had been in a terrible explosion. When he arrived, I told him we had to take him to the launching site right away because our team could only be together at weekends because we had to work elsewhere. So Dr. Kane had arrived. He was in the opposite side of the hotel. So we brought them all together to Starport 1, as we call it, to show him the demo 1. 7 days later, they came to the hospital with me to have the wrappings to take off to see how critical the damage was. Only the Jagger vein was still damaged. The blood shot out and they had to freeze it and rebandage it again. Next 7 days I went back and they took the bandage off. The doctor said, "I can't believe it. Your face should be all crinkled up, wrinkled, distorted and deep purple coloured. How did you do it?" And I told him, the generator in the house is making the conditions. It is purifying the room so great that there is no bacteria that could attack or damage the particular tissue. On top of that, we are pumping so much electrons back into the tissue that the tissue has a chance to heal faster. You may say, how painful was it? Well, when your head is on fire and your face is burning up, it is very painful. You may say, well, how on earth did you cope? And this was a problem. There are other people there and they're simply frozen and they never moved. Well, after all, you just disintegrated the fuse box and the meter and all the cables. All the washing had vanished. Your head on fire. What could they do but just stand there? We had a big deep freezer chest, so I dived in that for a few minutes. And then came out and I rang the doctor and said, "We've just had an explosion." So he rushed over, he strapped the face, he did the neck. Unfortunately, he put the wrong stuff on the neck, and gangrene had set in. They rushed me to hospital from work. I went to work. Yes, I still did my 14 hours night work. But on the 3rd day, I said to the manager, I said, "I have to go to hospital." So he said, "Right, you can't drive there. We'll drive you there." When they took off the bandage, the blood shot out, and they said, "Gosh, you've got a bit of gangrene in there." So they had to pump a load of penicillin in me.
Professor Searl, we're gonna have to end in about 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes, right.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been asking me to ask you one question that I think everybody in the room wants to know. What happened to the discs? What are you doing now, and what do you need?
Right. Well, what we'd like is people who feel they can donate gifts to get this ball rolling. It is beginning to roll. If you really got behind this effort, 6 months from now, we can come back here and you can see what you have never seen before. And that is a promise.
What happened to the discs?
The discs, all the discs are, we got about 30 machines which we can't recover. You see, during the time I had my happy holiday in prison, was cared for and loved and treated, they got rid of all the equipment by which you can recover them. We cannot get that equipment anymore, so we have to build a new one. At this time in Germany, they are working on one. I cannot say for sure whether we got it far enough to bring it over in July, but we are hoping, there's still hope, that we can arrange a place in Denver, Colorado Springs. I say, at the moment, we're not sure. They won't sign the contract because they want the loyalty. So I wish you all the best. I hope to see you all again, and I hope you will support the drive on alternative energy. Thank you very much.